Eric, first question over on your right side on the aisle. 3, right in front.
Hey, Nick. Eric Corrine, The Athletic. I know after the game you said 6 points, final 3 minutes, really not that much. Regardless, it's, getting close to clinching at that point. Do you address that in the entirety to your team, or you just go through individually the plays, the mistakes, and just try to get better?
Well, we're just addressing the things we can get better at. And, certainly some of that segment were some things we under our control that we could have done better. And that's really all we're focusing on, Eric. It's just like, you watch the game and you pull out the most learning experiences you can, about 20 to 25 on defense and 18 to 22 on offense, and then a good segment, maybe 15 or so on special teams, and just go through them like any game.
Here in the front.
Hey, Coach. Oh, okay. Wasn't me this time. Hey, Coach.
Stay hot. Stay consistent. Stay hot.
USA Today Sports. I wanted to get your opinion. Do you think momentum is real? And if so, do you think that a timeout could potentially stop momentum on either side?
Now, that is a loaded question, I think, isn't it? Oh, my God. Momentum is definitely real in everything in life, right? From the moment you get up, to a basketball game moment, no doubt about it. Sometimes timeouts stop them, sometimes they don't. Sometimes not taking one stops it, and sometimes it doesn't. And that's kind of the world we live in on the basketball court. And you take them, and sometimes you don't, and sometimes you do. Deep thoughts.
Tim in the back.
Another deep thought-provoking question, I'm sure.
All right.
Tim Reynolds with the AP. Steph and Clay, I think, what was it, 27 threes between the two of them that they got off in Game 5, and they had 42 as a team or something like that. Obviously, that's who they are. I mean, maybe not to that extreme, but they're going to shoot a bunch of them because they're going to shoot a bunch of them.
Mm-hmm.
Are there things you can do to – I mean, they can choose whether they're going to put the ball on the floor or not. Are there things you can do, though, to run them off the three-point line, even two elite guys like that, and get that under 27 attempts? Are there things you can force them into doing?
Well, yeah. I mean, we don't want to give up that many to those guys, right? I think, you got to guard them. You got to find them in transition. They get a good chunk of them in that. There was a bunch of loose ball ones too, but still, that's really no excuse. We got to come up with a solution for that. They had 2 in the first quarter, I think, where we stole the ball and we're heading the other way, and then they kind of ended up with a loose ball and kicked it out to them wide open. But still, we got to figure out a way to control those two. There's transition, there's pin downs. They're excellent at pushing off to create space. Their screens are long, wide, and moving. That they're coming around a lot. So I mean, you got to work doubly, triply hard. Sometimes you got to absorb contact at the start. You got to absorb contact coming off the screen. Sometimes you put 2 on the ball. Right, on the ball screens. There's lots of stuff going on out there.
Mark over here in the third row.
But we do need to do better.
Nick, Mark Schwartz, ESPN.
Hi, Mark.
Watching Kawhi operate the last month, you get the impression that he's just so cold-blooded. What makes him that way, and what's it like to witness it and be part of it?
Well, I don't know what makes him that way. Probably, again, not basketball-related things. Probably the way he was raised or the environment he grew up in, right? He's certainly tough, strong, and composed. And it's just, again, it continues to be from the first preseason game to now, it continues to be interesting to just watch this guy do what he does. It's like, without a doubt, the best thing about this thing is that somehow I wound up on the sideline getting to watch this guy play up close, and it's really cool.
Dan?
Nick, Dan Winke with the Los Angeles Times. Now that Kevin is out of this series, we know we won't see sort of the death lineup or whatever nickname you want to give sort of the Draymond at center. We won't see that again this year, maybe not ever again. What do you think that lineup's impact is on the game in terms of the move towards positionless basketball and how much, I don't know if easier is the right word, but it is to prepare for not having to face that lineup?
Well, their impact on it, I think, goes back, a little bit to all the switching that they just pretty much switch everything, and that that really, again, that really wasn't that common to be able to come out and just switch every time somebody set a ball screen or a down screen or a DHO or whatever screen and just switch and keep every player in front of you. And not really have to ever put two on the ball because they're, all pretty good defenders. So I think that's the biggest impact it probably had on the game. I think a lot more teams do a lot more switching since they started doing that. And again, we can only prepare for the guys that are out there and what they're going to do. We don't know that they can't still find a lineup with Draymond at the 5, right? We just got to kind of prepare for all possibilities.
Michael towards the center.
Nick, Michael Grange from Sportsnet. That game 5, did that loss hit you any harder just because of how close, the goal was in sight? And you mentioned after the game the decision around the timeout with 3 minutes and talking of momentum and stuff. Did you revisit that at all? And what did you take away from it?
Did it hit me any harder? Not really. They all hit you hard, right? Listen, I'm like anybody that was there and understands the outcome of that one changes things a little bit. But I'll say this: I'm absolutely thrilled to be coaching in another finals game. This is awesome, right? Michael, like all these things, when you look back on them, every single thing you do, if it doesn't turn out right, you wish you would have called another play or had somebody else in or got somebody else a shot or et cetera. I think if you remove that from it and you watch it, we ran a great play out of the timeout where Gasol absolutely got clobbered for a no call. Kyle had a wide open 3 with minute 40 to go. I mean, we ran some nice stuff and got exactly what we wanted, right? I'm not sure that timeout had anything to do with about 14 plays after that. Maybe it did. Maybe it didn't.
Last 2 questions. Steve in the back and then over here in the middle.
Nick, Steve Simmons, Toronto Sun. This has been a highly unusual series in that the road team has won the last 4 games, and if you win tomorrow, it'll be 5 in a row. Why has the road team had so much success in this series?
Well, for some reason, I think both teams are really good road teams and have been all season. That's one thing. Two really tough-minded teams playing, and you got to be a little more tough-minded, on the road. And I think, I think a lot of those games probably could have won either way, but the momentum changed, and whoever ended up winning them.
Last one in the 3rd row.
Hi, Julie Jag with the Santa Cruz Sentinel. I'm going to ask you a little bit about. Spent the morning talking to Ryan Atkinson, who you know from your days back
Santa
at RGB.
Cruz, man.
Yeah,
Love it.
What was it like working with him? And then also, did you feel like that being in RGV in the finals over Santa Cruz, then over the Warriors, was any kind of a harbinger for this series? And also, what did you learn from the G League that prepared you for the finals here?
Okay, first of all, Ryan is a great dude. Loved every day with him. Right, he was a super hard worker, and he started kind of as an intern for us at RGV, but he always wanted to get into the management side of things. So I remember having a lot of meetings with him about player personnel in my office. But a really good worker who's climbing his way up the ladder. Really enjoyed the series, Rio Grande Valley versus Santa Cruz. My current assistant coach, Nate Bjorkren, who was my assistant coach for 4 years at the Iowa Energy, was the head coach at Santa Cruz, one of my closest friends, so that was fun to go against him and beat him. It was really fun. What else? There was a packed house in Santa Cruz that night. It was jumping. It was jumping. It was good. And I think that was the first day. The day we played Santa Cruz was the first time I got a call from the Raptors that morning about possibly coming up to talk some offense with them. So remember the day well. Yep, good day.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thanks a lot.